Welcome to Center Heist Productions. It is May 6th, and this is the final synopsis of what I've added. We did all the first round, talked about all the players and all the rumors. So first and foremost, please hit the likes and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Try to get everybody else involved. We're trying to grow this community. And this here was a special addition to it, just rounding up uh, since we completed in a three-part series the first round picks, and now we're just kind of throwing together the names of who has been mentioned and who we think, in my opinion, who the Habs should be looking at. So it's kind of a combination. I know there's a name in there that not looking too promising from Rumorville, that is. Okay, so when we did all of this, it came down to uh, very simply, uh, we made our list of guys that were, since this is not including Bedard. Bedard, of course, if by some chance we win the lotto, we're going with him. And I don't know what the stand is on Fantilli. I didn't put him on my list for the fact that I seen players lower in the list that could be a better fit, in my opinion. And not it's not a knock against Fantilli. It's I didn't like what I seen in the World Championships and stuff. I just wasn't impressed with his play. Okay, so anyway, here we go. Uh, First one we're going to mention is Michkov. That's my first choice if we don't get Bedard. That's personally my choice, who I think we should go. And I know there's a lot of people that agree, but Rumorville coming out of certain reporters out of Quebec that some of the podcasts have picked up on are saying, and this is Rumorville, that the Habs are making it clear that there's no interest in Michkov. Well, I hope that's incorrect because I do think he's a loaded package, and I do think he's the next best player in the Bedard range, to be honest. I know there's a lot of risk, and that's probably what's turning teams off. So it is what it is. That's still my first choice after Bedard, and it's not even close. Unfortunately, if Rumorville is correct, we're not going near him. I don't know. Not my favorite thing, but it is what it is. Then the next guy I seen in this list that has been mentioned from the USA hockey program, which is, we have all heard this name Rumoured again by scouts and reporters, and it's Will Smith. And there seems to be a lot of talk generated due to the fact that Hughes knew this young hockey player because he was so closely associated with his son in the U.S. hockey program. So there's quite a connection there. It was the same thing he had with Jordan Harris. So that being said, there seems to be, I've heard that name in the early stages, I would say about a month ago. We were hearing a lot of Will Smith. So that seems to be, Rumorville wise, one of the leaders, actually. Don't be surprised. So after that comes, who I picked was Leo Carlson, which I like this kid myself. Mind you, I haven't really heard the Habs say either way on Carlson. Very minimal talk on this. So that was my next pick. So we now got three guys in that list. And then it goes right down to number 6, Zach Benson. I have heard a lot more next to Will Smith, a lot more for this kid's name as well. associated with the Habs. So seemed to be, and he's a left winger, where Will Smith is a centerman. So these guys, and of course Mitchkov is a right winger. So and like I say, it all depends on what you're looking for, who's talking. So we're hearing a lot. I'm only going by my opinion and rumor mill, kind of using a two-sided edge. So Zach Benson has been mentioned. He sounds like he's got a good background. And then this is the shocker for me. This name has only been coming up more recent. And it's more so coming out of Quebec, reporters out of there. Uh, and there's a certain reporter there that doesn't have a great, how would you say it? When he makes a rumor, it doesn't usually come to fruition because he likes to rumor. It was on our boy Tropicana on his video. And of course, again, with this movement of, using Arbor Jacki as being a trade piece. And I sure hope from this, because this guy does have a bad reputation as far as uh, trade rumors, this guy out of Quebec. And like I said, Tropicana mentioned the guy's name. I forget his name. I know who he's speaking of, though. I've seen this guy around, and something makes me want to say Lacroix, but anyway. Anyhow, if I know who the gentleman is, and I'm not fond of this gentleman myself because like I say, it's usually pressurized French movement. So I hope this week can put the rest that I hope the Habs are smart enough not to trade Jack away, because I think Jack, and this was the guy that I was mentioning that was part of they were saying trade involving uh, in a package to get up higher um, in the draft would be to use the second pick from Florida we have with Jack. And I don't know if there's a third piece to that or what, but to move up so that they could get at this next gentleman I'm going to mention. I disagree with this movement because this is a shocker for me. It's David Rear Backer. He's a defenseman, supposed to be highly touted again in the U.S. Hockey program. So for me, why go there? Why? What is the interest when you got such and you're going to give up somebody who's brought peace back to Montreal, which we've long awaited for and needed. Jack Guy is a good hockey player. He's not just a goon. He is. He's got talent. He can fight, and we need that. So our guys aren't walked all over. We've been needing it for a good 25 years, maybe even 30. We're in that ballpark range where we haven't had a player like Jack Guy. So we better hold on to him. And I'm sure hoping that maybe by some fluke, Gordon and Hughes, maybe they get lucky and they hear my video, and hopefully they hear the rest of us. If we all as small podcasters can get the word out, this Jack Eye is a fan favorite, and he brings an element to the game we've much needed. So let's pray to God that there's no truth. I know it's a huge rumor mill, and this Lacroix fella seems to be. These are the type of individuals that seem to be backing that type of stuff, and I don't like it. So anyway, the next fellow was, like I just told you, David Rear Backer defenseman, and I sure hope. I'm not interested in this personally, but this is the latest player that we're hearing some talk about. Seems like there's an awful lot of more talk from the U.S. hockey program from this year. We're hearing more of it, to be honest. Okay, so that was your next guy. Going down the list, I will come back because I added a little piece with goaltenders involved. Anywho, so that's your first batch of guys that really were touted, um, and that goes up to your first 10 draft picks. Then we go over to the next one we heard is a lot of rumor was kind of, I want to say, here and there. It's been spotted, and it's Dalibor Dvorsky and centerman. And this guy seems to have the Habs eye, from what Rumorville says, reporters, scouts. I don't know what the truth is in it. And any of us who said we did know the truth, we'd be liars. Because one thing I can say is Gordon and Hughes are keeping their cards close to their chest, and they do a very good job of it. But this guy, anyway, seems to have a good hockey IQ and seems to be a good talent to be looking at from what all my estimations of him. So this is another card that Montreal seems to have been associated with in Rumorville. Then we go down because that picks at 16. And that would be probably more related in the area of our second pick. I'd say at this point when I start talking about guys. The next one was very minimal talk, but more recent again. And this is Matthew Wood, right winger, and I do believe he's from the U.S. program as well. So there's been a little bit of talk about him of recent as well. So that being said, then we go jump from 20 to 23, and I would prefer the next guy to be our second pick. I really want this guy. And it's Quentin Musty. This is my opinion. And I know Grant McKegg is on the same page. And after hearing Grant speak of him, I went and looked at a lot of this guy's highlights, and he seems to, for me, he's a better version of Fantilli. That's my opinion. I just like what I see to the game. Um, I think this is a type of piece we need up front. Big boy and can do a lot of things and gives us size and grit. And he's talented. So that's who I hope our second pick is. For me, that's who I'm pushing for. Then we go back down the list, and I think that's pretty much it with anybody left on the list, down to 32 that has been mentioned in Rumorville. So that ends with Musty, and Musty actually is my second choice, to be honest with you. And if we're going to make noise, I would prefer we hold on to a gem like Arbor. I think, again, I'm tired of hearing this too. It seems like everybody wants to put Jordan Harris as well as if we don't get rid of Jack, I get that. Jack Eye's my more go-to next to Hooley as well. But there's no reason to unload Jordan Harris. And for anybody to be pushing that, yes, I know this is the left side is the issue. But we have a defenseman, and I've mentioned it in several videos now. Only thing that he has the luxury of is being on the right side, and that's Barron. Barron is the weakest link of guys that are in Montreal, that aren't in Laval and down. So if you're unloading somebody that's in Montreal, other than we know Edmonton needs to be unloaded, that's a given. If we could pull that off, go for it. I just don't think the interest is going to be there till the trade deadline. Weidman will probably just be let to walk, I'm sure. Wouldn't be a bad guy to have in Laval, though. So that's my thought. Those two must go, but we still possibly I'm just trying to think as management is thinking. If they want to unload a young defenseman, I would prefer to be somebody who's not in Montreal yet. That's my preference. And I sorry, value-wise leads me to Lane Hudson. And again, people are going to want to shoot me. I just don't know enough. I'm concerned because even with my own health risk, if it was me, I would say the same thing. You'd be better off putting your money on your future with somebody that you know has got a better health record. No conditions that way. That size difference, you don't know if that problem he has is going to stay, keeping him small. We don't know if that can be corrected, and that's a big thing. And if we think for 1 minute his numbers are going to translate from the USHL or the college league to the NHL, no, it's not. It's let's be realistic. It's a faster game, a harder hitting game in the NHL. So he's going to be slowed down. Those numbers are not going to be quite as high. We know that. So to me, that's your man out. That's the guy who should be on the trade block, or unless you're going with Stubble. And I hate to see it because he hasn't even been given a shake yet. But for Jordan Harris to be named as you got to be out of your Kopic in mind. He's fit in better than Barron. He's got more grit. He's a smoother skater. He's very quick getting the puck out. He doesn't play with it. He's got a good pass out. He's good offensively in spotting guys. It's a better fit right now. Now that's not to say that we know Barron's got talent with his skating as well, but he hasn't. He's got to put the physicality into his game. So right now, I mean, you got to go with what's right now. Right now, he's well, in the Montreal's youngsters that are in Montreal. He's the final defenseman that's at the bottom. So if you're unloading somebody that's young and is already there, that's your man. Sorry to say it. I get he's on the right side and can be promising. And I do hope what I have heard from a couple people, including my cousin, which is very knowledgeable. He's been in the hockey world himself, and I take a lot of I take his word pretty good there because he knows his stuff. And he seems to think that Barron could be like McAvoy in Boston, and that would be great. But we don't know that that's going to be the case. Boston has a different program. They have players, coaching units, and in their within their background that it's a totally different bunch of guys coaching these guys. Do we have the right coaching staff for defense to bring that out of Barron? I'm not. I don't know that. Now I know our defensive coach. I forget his did a fine job, but is he at the caliber of who is dealing in Boston? I don't know if that's the case. So again, if there's a guy in Montreal that's young and they want to unload, sorry, I have to lean towards Barron, not Jordan Harris. This kid's too good, and he's a good, solid midway defenseman. I think they worked hard enough to get him signed. You hold on to him. He's earned his rights. So I'm going to defend the guy. I mean, of course, I'm a Gooley, Jack Eye. Those are my top two. But Harris is right behind there, right next, and he should be. And Kasevich was a great pickup. And I'm sorry, Barron's after those guys, bottom dollar. Okay, so with that being said, that rounds up everything. I did want to mention the goaltender that I think if we make a splash, this is the type of splash I'm talking about being different. I hope they make is get yourself a third first round draft pick, and whichever pick is your bottom, go after this guy who could change the charts. We need a goaltender, and we need a really elite goaltender. So why not try to attempt to get Carson Bjarnason from the Canadian, juniors, who's got such a great rate coming on. Why not? This guy is, like I was telling you before, is a guy that can be rated as a first round pick. It just happens that this draft is so heavy it pushes him back to the second. But that would be what I'd be doing if I was the Montreal Canadiens. This is my thought. I would try to get that third. If you're going to make a splash, get a third pick. Now, whether it's above the Florida pick, it's starting to look like it would have to be, because Florida's pick looks like if they put out Toronto, which 2-0, they put out Toronto, that our pick drops closer to the bottom. So you may need to make the splash midway, and maybe Florida's pick is the pick you use to go after this goaltender. And don't forget, we have a second goaltender that could also jump in there, and that's Michael Hrubel from the American USHL. So I think one of these two kids, it's been mentioned that both of them could be first rounders. I'd be quite happy if they went for either of them. But I would hope I'm pushing and praying that it's going to be let's get a third first round pick. So that's where things set. I wanted to mention that list of who was in it and who the rumors seem to be that we're getting from scouting programs and reporters is those names I mentioned. So with that being said, that rounds up the first round. I'm not touching the second onward, other than to say that those two goaltenders, one way or the other, we should be after a goaltender. One of those two kids. That's my vote for. So with that being said, there will be a splash. I promise that you can write it down that I said this, and I've been saying it. I am convinced Montreal will make a splash. I just don't. I hope they don't jeopardize the future with someone like Arbor Jackeye. He's a fan favorite. He's a been much needed in Montreal's system, and he'll be there for a long time if we hold on to him. So that's my vote. I'm voting for Arbor to stay put. I'm voting even for Harris to stay put. Like I say, if you're going to do something, let it be between Barron and Hudson. And I'd be even lean more towards Hudson because we got enough on the left, and he's on the left side. That's just my opinion. Anyway, thank you for following. Till the next time we are debating, I'm going to try to get a message out there whether we're going to go on live for the lottery draft, to see where we wind up, which is on the 8th. I believe will be on Monday evening. I'm going to make sure and check that, but we possibly at this channel may be going live that night. It would be our first time as well. So thank you for joining me. I just wanted to do this special episode to round up part 4 of the series. And these are kind of a combination of who Montreal's rumored and some of my own picks that I'm pushing for, which I'd rather see Montreal look at. Like Michkov is first next to Bedard to me, and I'm fearing that they won't look at him. And same thing with Carlson. I just haven't heard that association either as much. I'm worried that they're looking too much at the U.S. hockey program. Not to knock the U.S. hockey program, but I don't think we need a defenseman. I'm really not up for that. I'd rather see us go for an offensive player that we need up front to get the cog moving up front. So anyway, with that being said, thank you very much for joining me. Hit the likes and the subscribes. Get your friends to do so as well. And until the next episode, and remember, we possibly could be live Monday evening, the 8th. I will be trying to go that route. So, where does the puck drop? And I want to thank you, the Heisomania, little Heisomaniacs. I appreciate your following, and just want to grow and get a bigger following. So, with that said, where's the puck drop first? At center ice, right here. Okay, you got it. So, thank you, everybody. God bless.